Okay, we're going to start a series of videos on the complete book of judo throws. Now this isn't every judo throw in the world, but this is all the good ones. This is everything you need to know. Take somebody down. So if you want to be a good MMA fighter, folks, you need to learn to do judo throws because they're the best way to take them down. Now before you get started with learning to throw, I'll tell you something that's even more important. You got to learn to fall. I have seen more people injured in a class from not knowing how to fall than almost anything that you can possibly imagine. If you don't know how to fall, you don't know how to do mixed martial arts. You don't know how to fight. You don't know. You're going to get hurt in the street. You're going to get hurt in the class. You have got to learn how to fall. And listen, I want to explain something to you real simple. It's called a break fall because you have to break the momentum of the fall by slapping the ground and by landing on your side and not landing on your elbows, not landing on your wrist, not landing on your head, and not banging your knees together. And if you don't do that, you are going to be out of the fight. You're going to be out of the football game. You're going to be out of the baseball game. You're going to be out of everything because you don't know how to fall. If you don't know how to fall, you do not know martial arts. It's really that simple, folks. So let's learn the break falls. Here's some little warm-ups. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do a side fall slap out. So we're going to stand, get on our knees, and just going to flip over to the side, and we're going to slap the mat. Now here's the important part. My head stays off the ground. My head stays off the ground. My butt does not hit the ground, or my tailbone does not hit the ground. My left leg goes flat if I'm falling to the side. If I'm falling to my left side, I'm slapping my hand hard on the ground. Yes, it hurts to slap your hand on the hard ground. It hurts a little bit to slap it on the mat. It hurts a lot more to not slap it. That's why it's called a break fall. If you do not break the fall will break you. It's as simple as that, folks. So you're going to land on your side of your leg. You're going to slap. You're going to keep your arm up close to your body, about 12 to 16 inches away from your body. You're not going to put your arm all the way out to the side because that can hurt your shoulder. It does not go all the way out to the side, and you keep your head off the ground. You do not bang your head on the ground. You bang your head on the ground, you only get to do it once. Your class is over. Your mixed martial arts career is over. Here you're going to practice the backwards break fall. You're going to fall with your legs crossed or up in the air. You're not going to hit on your tailbone. You're not going to fall back and hit your tailbone. Okay, I hope you understand what that word means. You're not going to hit your tailbone. You're also not going to fall back and hit your head. Why Troy Aikman doesn't play football anymore, why Roger Staubach doesn't play football anymore, why even Steve Young, if they hit their head, no one ever told these people that when you fall down, when someone takes you and slams you to the ground, Troy, duck your chin and slap the ground. Oh, well, I'll fumble the ball. Well, you can do a slap out with one hand if you have to, but how about this? Let's don't slap our head. Let's don't break our fall by hitting our head on the ground. I don't think that's too much to ask. I don't think that's too much to teach a football player. Do not fall back and hit your head on the ground. How do I do that, Coach? Tuck your chin. Tuck your chin. When you fall back, when the guy takes your feet back, I don't care how fast you go, tuck your chin. Tuck your chin and your head will not bounce off the floor. If you don't tuck your chin, if you don't slap it out, or if you can't slap it out because you don't want to fumble the ball, if you do not tuck your chin, you will hit your head. You'll hit your head on the AstroTurf, which is exactly like hitting your head on the concrete, and you will get a concussion, and you'll be out of the game. You get 6 or 7 concussions, you're out of football. Now, how simple would it have been to teach someone how to fall rather than losing a $40 million quarterback? Now you're going to practice falling forward. To practice falling forward, you're going to keep your knees off the ground. You're going to keep your butt off the ground. You're going to keep your hips off the ground. You're going to slap the ground in front of you. You want to have your arms about right in front of your face or crossed in front of your face. One more clever thing here. When we feel backwards or to the side, we didn't want to hit our head on the ground. We don't want to hit our head on the ground, especially when we fall forward. We don't want to smash our head on the ground. We don't want to knock our teeth out. We don't want to break our nose. So to do that, we have to slap the ground. We have to slap the ground. We have to keep our butt up. We don't hit on our knees. We don't break our fall with our wrist. We don't break our fall with our elbows. We slap the ground with our forearms. We keep our head up. I'm spending a lot of time here for a real good reason. If you don't know how to do these break falls, you're going to learn the hard way, and you're going to break bones. All right, so let's go to the next step. We're going to do a simple body toss, or practice picking up the body. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to let your partner, you're going to have your partner behind you, and he is going to simply grab you around the shoulder. Let me make it bigger here. He's going to grab you around the shoulder, and he's going to just pick you up, put it on his hip. Pick you up and put it on his hip. And this is practicing his body turn and practicing picking you up and putting you on his hip. The secret to judo is called the push-pull, and it's all hips and legs. It has nothing to do with upper body strength. It has nothing to do with being stronger than the guy. It has to do with leverage, balance points, and push and pull. So we practice. We warm up. We put our hand up. We put our arm on his hand over our shoulder. We're going to lift. We're going to lift with our legs. Just put him up on your back. This helps strengthen your back. This gets you ready to take your falls. This gets ready for you to throw. This gets you nice and warmed up. So do this about 10 to 15 times on the right side, 10 to 15 times on the left side. Going back to the break falls, you should do each of those at least 10 to 15 times, folks. Just like you're warming up, when you're stretching, go in there and do your break falls, 10 to the left, 10 to the right on your side, 10 backwards, 10 forward. Then do your lifts. Do your lifts. Lift him up, pick him up. You're not throwing him here, you're just lifting him up and picking him up. Real important that you learn this, and it really helps your back. Teaches you not to pick him up on your back. It helps strengthen you. Now you're going to pick him up, and you're going to do some squat lifts. So you're going to pick him up, and you're going to lay him on your back. You're going to lay him on your back, put him over your back. So you're holding my hand around his waist, because I picked him up by my waist. I have my left hand holding him, and I'm going to pick him up. I'm going to pick him up and lift him. I'm going to squat down a little bit. I'm going to pick him up and squat down. So you're going to pick him up, lift him, and then squat down. How far you squat down is how far strong your legs are. If you can squat down further, do it. If you can't squat down real far, don't go down real far. Go down till you're comfortable. Squat down, squat up. Squat down, squat up. Keep your back nice and curved, but so you don't have a strain where he's putting the pressure where you can hurt your back. You're going to squat up. You're going to squat down. Do about 10 or 15 of those to each side, folks. Nice little squat lifts to get yourself warmed up. Now you're going to do some sweep warm-ups where you're going to come out, you're going to step to the side, and you're going to sweep. So you're not only going to throw him to the ground, but you're going to practice sweeping. You're going to come up, step to the side, bring your leg up, hit him on the knee, and you're going to lift your leg. You're going to lift his leg. So you're going to come up, turn him sideways, hit him with your leg right above his knee. That's a sweep. And you're going to sweep it up. You're going to sweep him up. I want you to do 10 to 15 of those to each side. Do this. This is not throwing him. You're not taking him all the way to the ground. You're just coming over here and doing a sweep throw warm-up. So I'm coming here. I'm sweeping him 10 times on the right. I'm coming here. I'm sweeping him 10 times on the left. Then he switches and he goes to your partner. At the same time we're doing this, we're also holding him. We're practicing holding. We're holding around his shoulder. We're holding around his gi. We're practicing getting our body in close. We're practicing ducking our shoulders. We're practicing all of our sweep. We're practicing the whole motion here. We're getting nice and warmed up. You want to do this 10 to 15 times to each side to get nice and warmed up. Now you're going to actually do a throw. This is your first throw, so we're going to take a while and go through this and learn to do it right. This is the basic shoulder throw. This is a pretty hard fall to take, folks. Because I'm 6'1". If I throw you over the top of my shoulder, that means you're going 6 feet in the air, and you're going to be smashed on the ground. So you better know how to do a forward break fall. You better know how to land on your back and not get hurt. So here we are. We're squared up here. I'm going to grab a hold of the gi with my left hand and secure a good lapel grab. I'm going to grab it and hold it very tight on his lapel. Yank him forward. Then I'm going to cross my feet. You see how I'm crossing my legs right there, crossing the legs right there? We're crossing the legs right there so that I'm getting a good position so I can now turn my hip right into him. I'm turning my hip directly into him and putting my hip below his hip. Now it doesn't matter how tall you are or how tall he is. The guy doing this is about almost a foot shorter, at least 8 inches shorter than the guy he's throwing, but he's got his hips below. So he's picking him up and putting him on his hip. He's picking him up and putting him on his hip. Then all he's got to do, because he's got him on his hip, remember back here, we go here, we practice that lift. Let me go back up here. See that lift? See that lift? So now all he's got to do is lifting. So he's put him on his hip. Now we're going to lift him. We're going to lift him, and you're going to take him and throw him over your shoulder. And you're going to twist and smash him to the ground. You're going to lift him and twist and smash him to the ground. Very simple throw. Well, it's not really simple. It takes a lot of time and coordination, but it's a very hard and powerful throw, and it's very fast. When you spin in there, the second I spin in, I'm going to hit him with my hips. I'm going to hit him with my hips. So you're going to come in and pow, hit your hips. That lifts him up. That lifts him up. You pop him with your hips. That's going to lift him up, and then you're going to throw him all the way over you and smash him to the ground. This is the famous judo shoulder throw. Picking him up. Look at the feet position there. Coming in, popping him with my hips. Taking him up, throwing him all the way over and onto the ground. Bam. Now this is the hip throw. That was a shoulder throw. Where did he go? He went over the top of my shoulder. He went over the top of my shoulder. That's a shoulder. That's why it's called a shoulder throw. Here is a little easier throw, and it's a little more practical throw for people who are just getting started, and it's a little easier to do, the hip throw. This is a great, great throw for karate matches. It's a great throw for MMA matches and stuff. What I'm going to do right here is I'm going to come in. You have to grab their gi. In judo, they always grab the gi. We do this as a shoulder, the head throw if we're not grabbing the gi. But since this is a judo throws, we're doing judo throws, we have a gi we're wearing. So I'm securing his left arm. I'm holding it. Look at the middle picture where the guy's got his left arm secured, holding it really tight. Then he wraps around the waist. So he's going to take him and wrap his arm around his waist. The secret there is we wrap the arm around the waist and pull him towards you. The feet position are now come in, and you've squeezed your feet in there till you're nice and close to him so you can pick him up and put him on your hip. So here's two close-ups of him up on your hip. And notice that my feet are directly in front of his, almost like a 90-degree angle, so he's up there, he's on the hip. After you get him up on your hip, all you got to do is continue, and he'll just fall right over you. He has no choice but to go over you. So the basic hip, though, it starts with the setup. You have to grab him, you have to hold his gi, you have to hold his arm. Then you pop your hips in there. This guy's so much bigger than the other guy. If he did not pop his hips, he would not get him up in the air. He pops his hip, that lifts him up in the air. When it lifts him up in the air, he can put him up on top of his hip. Even though he's a lot taller, he's putting him up on top of his hip. And when you put him up on top of your hip, you can throw him right over your hip and to the ground. And notice this also, not only did he throw him to the ground, but we're also finishing up by continuing to hold the arm. If you continue to hold the arm after you've thrown him over you on the hip, you can finish with an arm bar. If you throw him over you and you continue to hold the arm, all I gotta do is fall down. I can finish with an arm bar and break his arm. Let me tell you what, that throw, if they don't know how to fall, is gonna hurt him. You can see the guy's falling on his left leg. Look at this picture down here. He's falling on his left leg. His hand has just got through slapping. His head is off the ground. So he's done a great throw and a great fall. That's what's important. Great throws and great falls, folks. Now let's look at this close-ups of the hip throw here. We're going to see more pictures to understand it a little bit better. First thing is the grab of the arm. He's grabbing inside the arm and getting that gi nice and secure. And look at the top picture. He's grabbed the lapel. We've grabbed the lapel very hard. We're holding the sleeve nice and secure. Then we're coming in with our feet. And look at the feet. One foot drops behind the other. So it's a little it's called a drop step in judo. You're coming in, one foot's in the front. Look at this picture up here. One foot's in the front. Then he's coming in, securing the grip, coming in and doing a drop step. So he's dropped that step in there, and now his feet are completely square, a 90-degree angle right down here. See that little angle right there? But he's got the guy, it'll come right up on top of his hip. The foot position in this hip throw is of vital importance, so you need to study it. If you don't get your feet right, you cannot pick him up. If my feet are not bent, and I don't come in and thrust my hips underneath, and if I don't pop him with my hips, he is not going to get up in the air. He's not going to get up in the air, and I'm not going to be able to pull him over. I've got to hit him below his hips with my hips. If this guy just did there and didn't pop his hips there, that guy would just lay on his back. He would never get him up in the air, so he'd never be able to pick him up and throw him. So look at that one more time so you can understand here. If you don't get your hips below his, and if you don't put him up on top of your hip, if you don't pop him up on top of your hip, you're never going to be able to finish and throw him all the way to the ground. When you get him up on top of your hips, now all you have to do is continue the circular motion. Look here, we started and we came in, we spun, now our back's facing him, now he's going to be thrown, and as you finish the throw, you're going to spin all the way around and you'll throw him all the way to the ground. When he hits the ground, you'll still have control of his arm, because we have great control of his arm, as you can see right here in the first picture. So that's important that you learn to do the hip throw. It's a great throw, and we're going to learn it later without the gi. The hip throw, great throw.